It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, on top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Wacky Wednesday, welcome to Zimbabwe. It's a very good evening, and today we're got a crackerjack edition of ZiFM Sport for you. The 85th edition of the Masters is upon us, and with the tremendous field featuring most of the best professionals and a few of the top amateurs in the world, the first major of 2021 should be an epic ride from tomorrow's first round onward at Augusta. It's the most prestigious of golf majors, and we preview it here on ZiFM Sport with your favorite team of pundits. That team is Barry Menandi, Chris Midzi, Alois Munjira, producer Sean Tafirenyika, and my name is Mike Madora. It should be an epic one.
It absolutely should be, especially given that we've also got some international sports news in the shape and form of Around the World in 60, where we take off in France. And the government there has discussed a possible delay of a few days of this year's French Open with the event organizers. In South Africa, the Springboks preparations for the forthcoming international season will move up a gear in the next fortnight as Rassie Erasmus and Jacques Nienaber and the rest of the management host a series of alignment camps. And in the United States, Steph Curry dropped 41 points as the Golden State Warriors beat the Milwaukee Bucks 122 to 121 to end their 3-match losing streak.
In the second half of the show, as usual, is the beautiful game, and it's all about the UEFA Champions League action, where Real Madrid coach Zinedine Zidane called for calm after their win against Liverpool last night. Pep Guardiola, though, felt that the weight of expectation on Manchester City in their clash with Borussia Dortmund affected them despite their 2-1 win. And in tonight's matches, reigning champions Bayern Munich take on last season's finalists Paris Saint-Germain, and Chelsea will aim to return to winning ways after their humbling defeat to West Bromwich Albion when they travel to visit Porto.
As always, we start with our power play, and today we call upon Lil Wayne. This one's called Pretty. It's featuring Akon and Wiz Khalifa. Check out Wiz Khalifa's verse on this track. It's absolute fire.
Hi, this is Benjamin Locke. I'm on the Zimbabwe Davis Cup team, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
We love to keep it interactive right here on your favorite sports show. Keep your messages coming in on Twitter. At ZiFM Sport is the handle to follow. You can also find us in our individual capacities. Simply search for us by name: Chris Midzi, Barry Menandi, Sean Tafirenyika, Alois Munjira, and myself, Mike Maduro. What are your predictions for the Masters? That's the big story right here on ZiFM Sport this evening. We want to hear who you think will be wearing the green jacket come Sunday. But before we get there and give you a preview of the most prestigious major of the year, let's give you a local sports news roundup.
The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Let's start with basketball. The Basketball Union of Zimbabwe is hunting for individuals to fill in coaching and managerial vacancies for various national teams. The union is seeking coaches for the senior women's and men's teams, under 23 women and men, under 18 boys, as well as under 16 boys and girls teams. Applicants are expected to send their CVs to the Basketball Union of Zimbabwe before the 16th of April. Mabasa Kayo Amuka. Let's go to cricket news, where following a disappointing 2020-2021 first-class cricket season in which they were winless in the Logan Cup, Bulawayo's Tuskers cricket franchise have turned their focus on the T20 competition that starts in Harare on Saturday. The former Logan Cup champions finished the first-class season in 4th position on the 5-team table with just 10 points accumulated from 2 draws and 2 defeats. Tuskers players returned from the Easter holiday looking geared up for the upcoming T20 tournament when they took to the training field at Queen's Sports Club yesterday. Let's wrap it up with netball news, where as preparations for the return of netball continues, ZDF Queens are taking the lead with the club starting group training today. The netball club is preparing for the resumption of competition under the Rainbow Amateur Netball League, the RANL. ZDF Queens coach Joel Sibanda said the focus over the next couple of weeks will be on fitness, since the players have been inactive for the past year.
From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
I know a bit later on we're going to be taking you around the world in 60, but first stop on today's epic journey on ZiFM Sport is Augusta. It's in the state of Georgia out in the United States of America, and it usually grabs the headlines the first week of April because of the Masters. And the storylines there this week are plentiful. Dustin Johnson, DJ, is looking to become the fourth golfer to win back-to-back green jackets, while Rory Mcelroy remains in the hunt for his first. Unfortunately for Mcelroy, he's not playing at his highest level at this time, which puts him further back on the odds board than anyone else that is probably out there amongst the favorite. Then there's Justin Thomas as the winner of the 2021 Players Championship. He is hot entering this event, but so is Jordan Spieth, who has not only had an incredible start to 2021, but just won the Texas Open on Sunday for his first PGA Tour victory since 2017. So what is going to happen this week at Augusta? Let's first get to hear the thoughts of golf pundit Craig Edwards.
You know, I'm a great believer that Augusta's a one-off event, unique, and there's a bit of romance, and it's mercurial, as Woods came back and won, Jack Nicklaus at 46 down the back nine. Special things happen, and you know, sometimes it's kind of almost like what's the word, you know, you get a happy ending.
Well, geographically, or from a geographical perspective, Augusta is in the state of Georgia, which has been grabbing all the headlines for the wrong reasons over the last couple of weeks, Barry. I know you watch your news, you follow global events, and the big discussion, the big debate out in the United States of America right now are the voting laws that they're trying to institute in the state of Georgia. Now, they've resulted in the MLB, which is, of course, the baseball organization out in the US, moving the All-Star game from Atlanta to a new destination altogether as a way of protest against what they deem to be voter suppression. Was there ever any doubt that the first major of the year would be played at the Masters, would be played at Augusta?
No chance, albeit that yes, Georgia is in the news at the moment, and there's lots of considerations in terms of its uprightness, let's put it that way, in terms of that voting law that they signed into law as a state most recently. But in truth, there was never any danger that the Masters would be moved. I think Augusta is iconic. Augusta is the Masters, and the Masters is Augusta. So I think everybody needed to just settle that in their minds, and I don't think anybody would have pushed for it. That's why I think we haven't heard many noises talking about the Masters having or needing to have been moved away from Augusta National. Iconic golf course with iconic holes, and usually delivers iconic competition.
Oh, well, let's go to Augusta. Let's talk about the course, Chris, because we're back to the traditional calendar. Of course, the Masters played the first full week, traditionally, of the month of April. That's where we are, as opposed to last year, where it had to be shifted to the American autumn as a result of the COVID pandemic. Now, tell us about the course. How is it going to play? What are the fairways looking like? What's the putting going to be going like at Augusta?
So in terms of the fairways and the greens, so far at least, there's a little bit of chance of rain later on in the week, but at the moment they're decidedly firmer, and what you need then is precision off the tee into the greens. So the putting surfaces are quick as well, and some of the players are actually saying that this is as quick as they can ever remember them being, and with the course being as firm and as fast as it is, you're likely going to be wanting to be a little bit careful when you do hit the ball. The shots are bouncing a bit, so precision and accuracy is going to be key here.
It's a very interesting course, Barry, because those that have mastered it usually can blitz the course. And those that struggle, they struggle spectacularly.
They certainly do, and that's why Tiger Woods loves going to this course. Unfortunately, we won't have him this time because he's mastered it. He's one of those who has mastered it, pun intended. But those that struggle on it really struggle. And in particular, you look at that back nine, can be treacherous, especially on the final day when the pressure is on and you've got either a chance to make a charge up the leaderboard or are actually leading. It becomes a bit treacherous for you, especially from the 10th, that dogleg left. So consequently, this course is entertaining from that perspective, but also for those who are on it, very dangerous.
Well, the logical starting point, I think, just from a level of respect, and I'm going to stay with you, Barry, is the defending champion, Dustin Johnson, the big Texan. He, of course, won it 5 months ago with a record score, 20 under par. He absolutely blitzed the course, but he hasn't been playing great golf. He's been playing good golf, but he hasn't been playing great golf since then. He's just got one top 10 finish. Is he a guy that you see as being in contention at Augusta?
He's always in contention on the basis that Dustin Johnson puts himself in positions where he can score low. And that's for every hole as well as the round as a whole. And this is because of how long he is off the tee. And as the course conditions given to us by Chris dictate, if it remains firm, then it plays in the hands of players like Dustin Johnson, your Bryson DeChambeau, the longer ones off the tee, because they've got that run and it can put them in positions. But Augusta, you also need to be clinical and tactical about what you're doing. But certainly, yes, Dustin Johnson always in contention. You always have to consider him. Whether he comes through or not, I have my doubts.
Well, Chris, Barry has talked about the fact that DJ's long off the tee, but there's no one longer off the tee right now on tour than Bryson DeChambeau. And that's actually the main arrow, the big arrow in his quiver. And he's already talked about employing an ultra-aggressive approach off the tee.
He's already talked about that, and he's actually got a new driver in the bag with the loft reported to be just 5 degrees, which means that the distance is what he's going to be gunning for. He's going to target the drivable par 4, 3rd, the 5th, the 9th, and the 11th. So I think also what's contributing to that is last year's embarrassing failure, finishing 34th. That's definitely going to be a motivator for him. So in as much as he's employing this ultra-aggressive approach like we talked about before, he's going to need to be accurate to avoid another embarrassment like last year.
And that's the key, isn't it, Barry? When you're playing golf, it's not just about the big drive off the tee. It's about the second shot. The second shot, the follow-up shot is actually more important than the drive.
It absolutely is, and that determines whether you're going to hit your greens in regulation, give yourself opportunities to have at the very minimum par putts, or at best be gunning for eagles and birdies, and that's what then gets you to charge up the leaderboard or extend whatever lead you have. So Bryson DeChambeau, with that change that Chris talked about in terms of his driver, clearly wants to go long and make sure that he's just using his lob wedge at the very minimum, going driver, lob wedge, getting on the green in regulation and making sure that his putting is on. When he is on, and we know that he uses an ultra scientific approach, the fact that he's changed that driver, I think must send shivers and tremors throughout the field, because he's obviously calculated what it's going to give him in terms of incremental gains.
Well, Chris has already talked about him targeting the drivable par 4 3rd, the 5th, the 9th, the 11th. He's going to try and cash in on those holes, making sure that he's got a sizable advantage over anyone else in the field. Well, we talked about two of the big hitters on tour, DJ as well as DeChambeau. Why not just complete the hat trick and talk about Brooks Koepka, Chris? The only problem with him is that there are concerns around his health. I mean, his ability is well known. He's a good player, and ordinarily he'd be in contention, but this time there are a few misgivings out there.
Yeah, so a couple of issues for Brooks Koepka, but I think the most critical being the fact that he underwent knee surgery, and just 3 weeks ago he was still on crutches. So in terms of accuracy, hitting the ball, that's not what's going to be the issue for him. The issue is going to be the walking, and that's really going to test him, especially when you consider the hilly terrain that he's going to be walking on. That's a test for anybody, in as much as, you know, these are athletes. 3 weeks ago, being on crutches and now having to play the Masters, it's going to be tricky for him regardless.
And we're talking about 8 to 10 kilometers here, Barry. So when people talk about walking in golf, we normally just see what television projects to us, but it's actually quite taxing, the sport of golf, because there is no lunch break like you get at corporate golf days where you can have a sit around for 30, 45 minutes. These guys are going from hole to hole, and when they get to the 9th, it's a quick turnaround. They're on to the 10th and the back 9.
Absolutely. Pull a sandwich out the bag, have a bit of an energy drink to replace the electrolytes, and you crack on. It's not a mean distance, 9 to 10 Ks that you walk. And if you're walking those 9 to 10 Ks for 4 days straight, and just 3 weeks you are on crutches, it's going to test you. And that's if Brooks Koepka makes it to the weekend. So I hope he does. He's got the ability. He's a talented player, and it'll be what a story it would be to undergo knee surgery, be in crutches so recently, and be able to still make a challenge. It'll be great, but I can't see it go that far. I'll be very surprised if he makes it into the weekend.
Well, you just talked about talent and ability, and there's one player's talent and ability that's never been in question. In fact, he stormed onto the scene and people thought this is the guy who would take on Tiger Woods. This is the guy who would dominate golf in the manner that Tiger Woods had dominated the sport. And I'm talking about the Ulsterman, Rory Mcelroy, who arrives for his 13th Masters, having started working with instructor Pete Cowan earlier this year in hopes of turning around a winless season and bringing more consistency to his play by simplifying his swing. Barry, I want to stick with you and talk about what he's trying to do. What is he focusing on when we're talking about simplifying his swing? What have been the focus areas for Rory Mcelroy?
I think the first thing in terms of providing a solution is to identify the problem. And the problem is that he's ranked 127th on the PGA Tour this season in proximity on shots from 50 to 125 yards. That means that his wedge play is woeful. And that's what they've been trying to...
Can I stop you right there, Barry?
Yeah.
Now, this is where Mike comes into his own, isn't it?
It is.
Because my chipping is on point.
100%. No argument there. Chipping absolutely on point, and also even just the iron play in general. I think second shots is where Mike really comes into his own. It's off the tee where there are struggles. He's a bit of a spray painter off the tee, as Mike Mandel. So that's what they've been working on to ensure that, listen, when he gets within range, he's able to then finish off. And very often what we find is that he either over clubs or under clubs it and leaves himself with too much work to do on the green, or having to play a recovery shot, and that begins to trot up your shot. So in working with Pete Cowan, it's been a lot about his wedge play and making sure that in range he's able to execute.
Well, Cowan has helped a number of elite players, including Darren Clark, Louis Oosthuizen, Lee Westwood, Henrik Stenson, Sergio Garcia, as well as Charles Schwartzel. So he does have a track record, and he has worked with the best before. The proof of the pudding will be in the eating, as they say. So the next 4 days out at Augusta will be an indicator if the work that he has been doing with Mcelroy is actually going to pay off. Now, as for Rory, winning the Masters would complete a career Grand Slam. He's been trying to join the likes of Jean Sarrazin, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus. I was going to call him Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods in that select group. So there is plenty of motivation there. Let's hear from Rory Mcelroy.
I worked with Pete when I was 13, or from the age of 13. During Irish sort of national weekends, and he was a consultant for the team, and so it's not as if it felt like we were getting to know each other for the first time. We've known each other for a while. I brought him in, and it's just, it's basically just about trying to understand the body movements a little bit more, and sort of understanding why certain shots happen.
Mcelroy has got 6 top 10 showings in his last 7 outings, and he's currently ranked number 12 in the world. So he's got a bit of form. But talking about form, Chris, there is no one who's hotter than Jordan Spieth, the Texan, ending his 4-year wait for victory just this past week and he'll start as one of the favorites at the Masters, just on the basis that, listen, he won just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, so he literally won just a couple of days ago, and he's on his game. When he's one of the best tee to green golfers on the tour. And even when he's not, we've seen him grind his way to contention, figuring out things on the fly. And the way he's played in the last 6 months, going towards a surefire top 10 finish, I think coming into this, he's definitely one to bet on.
Well, let's hear from Jordan Spieth, who heads into the Masters with relief after that win at the Valero Texas Open.
You know, when you're coming in form, it's a good feeling when you arrive here, and I've had that a few times. I've had it where, you know, I pulled down after missing a cut or not playing well leading up to it, and still played well here too. So, I love being here, love being on the ground. It's my favorite tournament in the world. I've expressed that many times in here.
Spieth, certainly one of the players to look out for at Augusta over the weekend. Another one to keep an eye on amongst the favorites is Justin Thomas, and when he's on his game, is actually just like Spieth, one of the best tee to green golfers on tour, and he has been improving at Augusta every time he's turned out there. He was tied 39, tied 22, tied 17, tied 12, and in the last edition he finished in 4th place. If he has to continue on that trajectory, he could be standing with the green jacket at the end of the day. Now let's talk about the dark horses, guys. Let's talk about the players that you think could perhaps upset the apple cart, Barry. Who do you see amongst the chasing pack?
Well, listen, a lot of people who follow golf might snigger when they hear this, but in truth, if you look at the data, it certainly supports it, and that name is Xander Schauffele, because if you look at how the stats he's putting up, the numbers he's putting up, he's right up there with the elites like your Dustin Johnson, your DeChambeaus, your Justin Thomases, and of course John Rahm as another one. And listen, in the past year or two, he has been putting up some good numbers. And don't forget, he's been a runner-up at Augusta before, so I think he'll definitely be worth a mention as one of those that you can watch. Also, the likes of like your Patrick Cantlay, they could also be there or thereabouts.
Well, Patrick Cantlay certainly is one I'm tipping from the chasing pack, and he says that he's excited for the Masters.
It feels like just a continuation of a really long season. Feels like we were here not too long ago. And I was up last week. I played Wednesday, Thursday up here with a friend of mine, and it was fantastic. So just getting acclimated with the place. It's nice to see it firm and fast. I think we're going to have a firm and fast week. So just really looking forward to it. I mean, it's nice being here, and it's nice being here in the spring.
Well, since Cutlay's victory at the Zozo, he has played 7 more times, and during that stretch, he's shot the course record twice. He's missed the cut only once, and he hasn't finished outside the top 20 in that run. So he's bringing form and consistency to Augusta. Chris, who is your dark horse at Augusta?
Dark horse for me, definitely John Rahm. His past 3 Masters starts, tied 7th, tied 9th, and a 4th place. He held the 36th hole lead in November as well. That was until his top fairway wood at the par 5/8, and he was right on Dustin Johnson's heels. And you know what? We expect Augusta to basically play into his hands at the moment. We said it's playing fast, firm as well, which plays into how he plays. And his past 2 wins, Memorial and BMW 2020, were 2 of the toughest, firm and fast venues that we've seen. So we expect John Rahm to do well here. So definitely the dark horse for me.
Well, if Augusta plays into John Rahm's hands, he could well turn out to be a winner at that tournament. He could wear the green jacket to join winners in the last decade like Phil Mickelson, South African Charles Schwartzel, Bubba Watson has won it as Aussie Adam Scott, Jordan Spieth won it in 2015. The Spaniard Sergio Garcia was a very popular winner in 2017. And then in 2019, it was Tiger Woods. Who can forget that gallery? 120,000 strong, better and bigger than any football following, whether it's the Camp Nou, Old Trafford, the Westfalen Stadion. Such was the interest around Tiger Woods and the crowd that was following him on a golf course at Augusta in 2019 as he won. What a fantastic comeback. And then, of course, the last edition won by Dustin Johnson. Guys, you've got to give me your predictions I think I'm going to ask for two names: the guy you tip to win, and your dark horse for the tournament. I'm going to start with you, Chris.
So the guy tipped to win, Bryson DeChambeau. I think that aggressive approach, if he's able to still remain pretty accurate, I think that's going to work for him. And then my dark horse, this is a little bit tricky, but I'm going to go Jon Rahm again. Jon Rahm, I think, is coming into a place where, first of all, like we talked about, this course is going to play into his hands. And also, just taking a look at his past 3 Masters starts, I think he's ready for it now.
All right. 2 strong picks there, Barry, from Chris. Do you disagree? Do you see it differently?
I'm going to agree with the first pick of Bryson DeChambeau. I think Bryson DeChambeau has got a good chance of being there in the final shake-up. But my second pick is going to be Jordan Spieth. I think Jordan Spieth has a very good chance of making a good show of it in this edition of the Masters. It's going to be either Bryson DeChambeau or Jordan Spieth for me.
Well, if Jordan Spieth wins it, it'll be his second green jacket, but he'll be trailing, of course, the all-time greats by some distance. Jack Nicklaus has won it 6 times. He's the record holder. Tiger Woods has won it 5 times, just one behind Jack Nicklaus. Arnold Palmer has won it 4 times. And then you've got 5 players who have won it 3 times. That's Jimmy Demaret, Sam Snead, Gary Player, the South African, Nick Faldo, the Englishman, and Phil Mickelson, who's now in the twilight of his career. Well, those are Chris's and Barry's tips. I am going to go a bit different. I'm going to go with Justin Thomas to win on the back of his consistency. I think he's got a consistent game. And then, of course, I never bet against DJ Dustin Johnson. I think he's got the game all round. He's got the drive off the tee, he's got the approach shot, and he's got the putting to go with. So if he can bring his game together, he's always one to watch at Augusta.
Hi, my name's Ryan Cairns, Sunshine Tour professional golfer, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in France, where the government has discussed a possible delay of a few days of this year's French Open with the event organizers. Discussions between the ministry and Roland Garros officials also included how the tournament might be able to accommodate fans who were largely locked out of the delayed 2020 edition. This year's event is due to take place between the 23rd of May and the 6th of June, with qualification rounds starting earlier. We'll head over to South Africa, where the Springboks' preparation for the forthcoming international season will move up a gear in the next fortnight as Rassie Erasmus and Jacques Nienaber and the rest of the management host a series of alignment camps. Preparations for the forthcoming international season will move up a gear in the next fortnight as Rassie Erasmus, Jacques Nienaber, and the rest of the management host a series of alignment camps. This week, the Boks Coaching Brains Trust will present their plans for the 2021 season to a small group of players from the northern region, consisting of players from the Lions and Bulls. Following the 3 days of alignment activities in Gauteng, the Springbok management will travel to Durban, where they will repeat the exercise with a select group of Sharks players on Thursday and Friday before returning to Cape Town. We'll touch down in the United States, where Steph Curry dropped 41 points as the Golden State Warriors beat the Milwaukee Bucks 122-121 to end their 3-match losing streak. The 33-year-old registered 30 points in the second half as the Warriors overturned a 10-point deficit with 4 minutes remaining. Golden State, who had lost 7 of their past 8 games, are 10th in the Western Conference.
Hi, I'm Warriors coach Zdravko Logarušić, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference. Z. The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport.
Champions League nights are special no matter where they are, and last night it was England and Spain. Let's start in Spain, where Real Madrid coach Zinedine Zidane called for calm after their 3-1 Champions League win against Liverpool last night. 2 goals from Vinicius Jr. and 1 from Marco Asensio put Los Blancos in a commanding position going to Anfield. Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp admitted his side got what they deserved in the defeat, which leaves their Champions League hopes hanging by a thread.
First and foremost, I think that's most important. I think we didn't deserve to win tonight, to be honest. We didn't play good enough for that. And that's maybe my first concern, what I think about that we, especially in the first half, we didn't play good enough football. These mistakes can happen. So that's not my problem of the game, because these kind of things can happen against Real Madrid. But if we only lose one ball, it could happen. But because we lost too many, that is my story, and we have to, how I said, if you want to go to the semi-finals, and that's absolutely okay and fair, you have to deserve it with the performance you put on the pitch. So, and tonight we were not good enough to win this game.
We all expected a very entertaining affair, Alois, after watching Liverpool play Arsenal and looking like the old Liverpool. But tragically, last night, Liverpool didn't show up and Real Madrid took advantage.
Yeah, I thought Real Madrid did well. You know, at the beginning of the match, I actually saw some energy in Liverpool, especially when they were pressing. They pressed so hard and so quick, you know. But I thought that Real Madrid did so well. They countered. They were so comfortable on the ball, even when they were being pressed. They kept playing. They kept knocking it around. I think they trained so hard for it. They were knocking the ball so quick. Even when they were being pressed, they were managing to actually get the ball around and get it out. So I think that's where they won the game. Because by that time now, Liverpool, I thought now they were nowhere. They couldn't do anything else. And then Real Madrid looked like they were dominating. And the 3 goals actually, I think, is actually symbolized that they were dominating the match. And I was actually impressed by Junior as well. Those were well-taken goals.
Vinicius Jr., one of the leading lights coming out of Brazil. They say that he's one to watch, and certainly last night he was one to watch. But focusing on what Klopp said, and indeed how Liverpool played last night, Chris, you got to say to yourself that yes, there was one team that deserved the victory, and that was Real Madrid. Liverpool themselves will be kicking themselves that they didn't do better in this game, because it looked like it could have been an open affair.
Yeah, it could have been an open affair. It's just certain players didn't come to the party for Liverpool. I think there was a lot of error in terms of the performance from the players. And when you have a situation like that, the other team is going to take full advantage. And this is a cup competition. All they need is to be able to get these goals. They managed to get the 3 goals. When it comes to Anfield, all they have to do is defend incredibly well, and then the job is done. So this was a missed opportunity for Liverpool, definitely.
It was indeed a missed opportunity, Mike, but some would say that the away goal certainly gives hope.
The away goal certainly gives Liverpool hope, but I wouldn't be too optimistic, because Real Madrid looked like they're a scoring side. They looked like they got goals in them. We saw how ruthless they were to take advantage of any slip-ups, any mistakes that Liverpool made. Because in truth, you take a look at the goals that Real Madrid scored, they were totally avoidable. But they are so ruthless that when they sniff an opportunity, they're able to cash in. So Liverpool, for a start, are going to have to blank Real Madrid at Anfield. And the way Liverpool has been playing with this makeshift defense, this is not Virgil van Dijk and Joel Matip. This is not Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez. So these are players that are always going to give Real Madrid a chance. And if Real Madrid have to score, it will become next to impossible for Liverpool to get themselves back into the tie. So I think Real Madrid are in total control of this one. Liverpool outside chance, but it's going to be very hard.
Going to be very hard indeed, especially given that the second leg is at an empty Anfield, and Anfield where Liverpool is yet to win in 2021. So it's a remarkable task that is ahead of Jurgen Klopp and his team. But if there's a team that's provided some special European nights, it is Liverpool. One that is trying to provide some special European nights is Manchester City, and Pep Guardiola felt the weight of expectation on Manchester City in their Champions League clash with Borussia Dortmund affected them despite their 2-1 win last night. On form, Alois, you got to say to yourself, none of us expected this game to be as tight as it was, needing that winner by Phil Foden to seal the affair at the Etihad. And you got to say to yourself that perhaps Pep Guardiola is right, that there's a bit of pressure that they're feeling because they haven't been past this stage as Pep Guardiola's City?
Yeah, I think they're jittery because of that situation, because they are anxious. I think it's anxiety that is creeping in. They know that this stage is actually has been dodging them, and now this is a situation whereby everybody all over the world, I should say, that they're expecting Manchester City to advance all the way to the final and probably win this one. And I think the neutrals around the world as well, deep down, they actually want Pep to win this one. There is something that they just feel that he needs to win this one, maybe to keep critics quiet, so that he can actually prove that he can actually go out there and win this tournament in Manchester City. So this is the anxiety. They also know that in Manchester that they are expected to win, and I could actually tell that they were so anxious, especially when it was 1-1. You could actually see in their faces that these are players that are now worried that here we go again. Are we going to get knocked again? I think that goal by Foden, I think, was a welcome relief. They now have belief now. I think that is actually the magic that they wanted. Because if they hadn't scored that goal, I'm sure that they were going to be sulking and thinking that, here we go again, we're going to get booted out. But they will go with that 2-1 lead with so much confidence. And I think that they can actually go all the way to Germany and win it.
Yeah, you know what, Barry? I think this game was only close as far as the result is concerned. Anyone who watched this match, there's no way you can draw the conclusion that this was a tight-fought affair. If you didn't watch it, perhaps you look at the 2-1 and the fact that City scored at the death, and you think it wasn't. City totally dominated this game, but without scoring the goals. If you take a look at possession, you take a look at the amount of attacks they launched, you take a look at the chances that they created, they totally dominated this. But they're going to have to learn to be more efficient. I talked about Real Madrid and what they did to Liverpool. That's what Manchester City has got to learn, that in the big cup competitions, in the knockout stages, you have to be ruthless. When chances come your way, you've got to convert those chances. So when I take a look at last night's performance, Pep Guardiola wouldn't have been worried if it had ended 1-0, because they can go and repeat the same performance in Germany. I fully expect City to go and repeat the same at the Westfalenstadion. They'll have more of the ball. They'll create more of the chances. They just have to learn to stick the ball in the back of the net.
And that efficiency is what Pep Guardiola will certainly be. If there's anything he's worried about and anything keeping him up at night, it is that efficiency, isn't it, Chris? Because if he looks back at previous seasons, even the one that just gone past, we'll have images of him kneeling on the touchline, having hit posts and stoppage time, offside decisions, and all sorts that has prevented this City side from kicking on, even though they dominate games. So he needs that efficiency to come through for them to go into the semi-finals.
He definitely needs that efficiency. You have to score the goals in order for you to win these matches in Champions League. It's very, the margins are very slim. So the opportunities, when they do come, you need to take them, because when you miss those opportunities, you literally leave it to the other team to make the match their own. So they definitely need to take their chances and score at every opportunity.
Well, both these games will conclude next week, Wednesday, when the second legs take place. And I have a sneaking suspicion that I think Man City will certainly break the hoodoo and go into the semi-finals. I think this is their year. This is the time for them to go, in fact, all the way. But it's too early to predict that. They're 2-1 up in this tie. They need to seal it come next week.
2 down, 2 to go. 2 big games on tonight to complete the quarterfinal matchups, and there's none bigger than a repeat of last year's Champions League final. It'll see Germany taking on France, Bayern taking on PSG. Now, PSG's manager Mauricio Pochettino says that his team will not have revenge on their minds when they play Bayern after losing to the German team in last season's final. Bayern beat PSG 1-0 in the final last year to seal a treble, but Pochettino, who replaced now Chelsea head coach Thomas Tuchel midway through this season, said that this time it could be different as they are playing a two-legged tie. Let's hear from Pochettino.
Bayern Múnich, que es el campeón de Europa, campeón de... Sinceramente no es un partido de referencia para nosotros.
Revenge in sports does exist, but I don't think it applies in this case. It is about showing ourselves that we are capable of beating Bayern Munich. the European and world champions. That would show that we are truly among the best teams in Europe at this moment. And that is clear motivation in itself.
Z.
Big game, and that's what Champions League football is all about. Barry Mirandi, we take a look at these teams. I mean, you've got to say that they somewhat represent two different approaches. You take a look at Bayern Munich, they are the team. And then you take a look at PSG, they're an outfit that win matches on the back of individual performances.
They are, and so it'll be interesting to see which one is going to trump the other. Again, I foresee the same sort of approach as last season, whereby you're going to see a PSG that'll try and exploit the space behind because of the high line that's played by Bayern, use the pace of their men, their front men, including Kylian Mbappe, and try to exploit that because the wing backs of Bayern Munich bomb on. And then you'll see a Bayern who wants to dominate possession and then try and close it out through their efficiency in front of goal. Without Robert Lewandowski, it makes it very interesting, but I foresee that Bayern certainly has the edge.
Well, let's talk about Robert Lewandowski, Alois. He's missing from this game, meaning that if they're to pick a target man, they have to go with the Cameroon international Choupo-Moting, who does a decent job, but he's no Robert Lewandowski. Or could they go with a false nine?
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do this one, Mike, because they are so used to have Robert Lewandowski playing for them. They probably will have somebody who can play a little bit closer, a type of football that is closer to Lewandowski. So I foresee them going out for a like-to-like replacement. But remember, when Bayern Munich played against Borussia Dortmund, I spoke about how Borussia Dortmund missed it by not just closing out Lewandowski, making sure that he doesn't score. And the job has been done for PSG. For me, when I look at it, there is not going to be any Lewandowski to worry about. So they will play. Their defense will be more comfortable because they know that they all they need to do is to make sure that they just stop the efficiency of ball possession domination by Bayern Munich, which means that they just need to press. If PSG come to this game and play with the intensity that they should, because they tend to relax. You said it, they have got individuals that win the matches, so they tend to relax so much. They don't play as a team. If they play as a team and they have the intensity, they only need to match Bayern Munich for intensity to win this match, and I see that happening because Pochettino, I think he is actually somebody who can actually instill that. So I hope that they do that, because when I look player by player, they should be able to win against Bayern Munich, especially without Robert Lewandowski.
Alois says match Bayern Munich for intensity. Is it that simple, Chris? I know they're missing Lewandowski. They're also going to be missing the likes of Corentin Tolisso, Douglas Costa, and of course Serge Gnabry, who's returned a positive coronavirus test. But when you take a look at Bayern Munich, the way they performed this past weekend versus RB Leipzig, how efficient they were, how good they were, is it just going to be that simple?
Not that simple at all. When you rely on individual brilliance like PSG does, you run the risk of Mbappe or a Neymar having an off day and suddenly you're out of goals. So I think the difference is that Bayern Munich is able to get those goals and get them from multiple players as and when they absolutely need to score the goals. So that's going to be the difference. And I don't see PSG having an easy time of it tonight.
Well, Bayern Munich do get goals, Barry, and one player who's going to be key is Thomas Muller.
Yeah, absolutely. Thomas Muller is going to be the key that unlocks a lot of things. Number one, he can score goals. Number two, he also creates goals as well as creates space. He sort of is the beating heart of Bayern Munich if you want to pick a player. And he plays as well as Bayern Munich as a team. They play with an intensity that's hard to match, so it's going to be interesting to see how PSG is going to come out and try and match the intensity of Bayern Munich. But for me, this one has the potential of being the tie of the quarterfinals if it lives up to its billing.
The final before the final, it was last season's final, so big game. that's going to be played between Bayern Munich and PSG. Then there's the other game, with all due respect. It features Porto and Chelsea. Now, I doubt people are going to be scrambling for their TV remotes for this game. I think many people are going to be tuned in to watch the PSG Bayern Munich game, but this is a quarter of the final nevertheless. Chelsea fans are not complaining because they have got a side that they feel they can beat. First of all, before we get to hear from Alois Mujira, let's hear from Thomas Tuchel, who expects Chelsea to bounce back from their defeat in the Premier League this past weekend.
First of all, it's very natural that there is a reaction to a result like this and to a game like this. So it's also necessary to adapt. Also, we feel all much more comfortable when we win. So it is a strong part of sports in this level and of the character in football on this level that the guys hate to lose. So once we suffer a big loss in a weird game, it's absolutely normal that there are reactions.
Chelsea thumped at home by West Bromwich Albion 5-2. But Alois, this is a different competition, isn't it? Thomas Tuchel will not only want to bounce back, but he'll want to put in a good performance against a Porto side that he knows that if they play their best football, they should be able to beat.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky, Mike. While they want to bounce back, they always look back and say, you know what, we lost to West Brom because we were one man down. You know, we had our defender taken off. But they are playing a team that is tricky, Mike. This team can cause problems. You know, this is one team that can actually cause an upset. I wouldn't be naive if I was Chelsea and think that this is the weakest team in the quarterfinals, so we're gonna walk past them. I wouldn't. I think this is actually a game that they are going to be going when they are all on their guard, because I see an upset if they are not careful. If they don't go into this match complacent that they can overrun this team, they're gonna get upset. I'm afraid this game actually might end up being the better game than the other one, because they're going to be fireworks there.
Yeah, and I know certainly that they can't go into this game complacent, Chris. But if you had asked all the teams before the quarterfinal draw, who would you rather have? You know, they would have said Porto.
Easily. Everybody would have picked Porto. And the truth is they are the underdogs in this match. And Chelsea, having lost in the Premier League, I think, look, they were having a good run. It was going to end at some point, but there's nothing much to read into that. Chelsea are playing well.
Okay, guys, quick predictions for the PSG Bayern Munich game. Baz?
I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Bayern Munich.
2-1 to Bayern. Alois?
I'm going exactly the opposite with Barry. 2-1 for PSG.
Chris, Lewandowski is missing. He's one of your favorite players.
He is.
Does that influence anything?
Not really. I'm going to go 3-1 to Bayern Munich.
3-1 to Bayern Munich. My goodness. The one thing that all you guys are predicting are goals. And of course, apart from Alois, mostly in Bayern Munich's favor. That is the Champions League on tonight with 2 blockbuster matches.
That's all we have time for on the show today. We've got to go. We're back tomorrow with our shortened edition. Remember, we're looking at Africa's most inspirational Olympians. We've looked at Kirsty Coventry. Last week, we looked at Frankie Fredericks from Namibia. And now it's the turn of Caster Semenya. We'll look at the pride, the prejudice, and the change in perception that she has brought about as a result of her performances and her advocacy. So that should be an entertaining and exciting one. So don't miss it. 5 after 6. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manande, out.